You seem a lot more up this morning. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things happening worldwide that are very hard, very bad. We can't change them. Jehovah knows what he's doing. You just got to have confidence in that. Because I think that's what you're still worried about, some of these things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on in the organization that I think are needing correction.
Well, it's progressively being refined. Some of the things may not really be what you think they are. It's what people say.
Yeah.
I'm in a position to know what's going on. And you know me well enough, I hope you trust me.
I do.
Yeah. And I know things happen. And when they do, it's usually because somebody does not follow instructions. And it gets taken care of. But you got to have the confidence that Christ is the head of the congregation. He knows what he's doing. And he will take care of things. I have that confidence. So, you know, it's hard. Sometimes I see things and I think, I'd like to fix this. We had a situation a few months ago. I was on the phone with the office and said, I'd like to take care of this. He said, we'd rather you stay out of it, let it run its course. And we went back and forth a few times. And it was difficult, but it got taken care of. It got to, and I was involved in it, instrumental in it, but we simply had to let it run its course. And we had a very unnecessary, nasty situation. It did not involve children, but it was adults, young adults, and some things that was going on in the way ones would want to deal with it. And it got taken care of. It just took a couple of months longer than I liked. But the office said, you're going to get us in trouble, just be quiet. So, okay, I'll sure say so. So, and it got taken care of. Everything came out okay. Congregations are moving on. So, but we just have to allow Christ to do things. So, you just got to have that confidence. And, you know, I think, as I understand the comments, you expressed concern about your faith weakening, right?
Not anymore. I struggled in my faith. I've got very strong faith now. I've been reading my Bible every day. I read through the entire book of Acts and Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, Philippians, and I find a lot of faith strengthening scriptures that are really guiding me, that help me, you know, seek Jesus, seek Jehovah, and look to them for comfort and answers and guidance, and share that with my children. And
good. Look at Hebrews 11, because this is basic. It's impressed me when I started learning the truth. I come out not atheistic, but a very unreligious background as a youngster. And I was pretty serious as a child. By age of 10, I was starting to plot revolution, things like that. I didn't like the world, what I saw around me. I only mention that, we don't want to go there, just that I had no understanding of who God is. And it was, Mom felt the need to have a relationship with God, so that's why she studied. She was contacted door to door. I was about 11 when she was baptized. I was 11. And she mostly kept it to herself at first because Dad was not the least bit interested. So there was, at that point, religious opposition. So I had to come into truth in spite of my dad's non-religious views. And he tolerated it, but he thought it was stupid. He didn't like it. So I had no knowledge of religious teachings. But I had to convince myself that this was real. There really is a God, and this is all purpose to this. Which I sort of knew that, and that's why I took to it. I look around, and You can get where you can see the trees and see the lay of the country, and that's what I had. Now, this cannot be an accident. They were not going to sell me that evolution garbage. And it was starting to be taught in school. I was getting up to that age. No way. No way. Anyway, see that Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the assured expectation of what is hoped for. And in the second half, the evident demonstration of realities that are not seen. So if people will mock you, well, you can't see, how can you know how this, how that? But they have to have faith. To believe evolution takes more faith than to believe the truth. Faith is the assured expectation of what is hoped for. Of course, hope's part of that too. We have to have a hope. And see, that God-given hope is set in the Scriptures. And so the assurance, it's not, well, that would be nice. It's real. So faith has that power. And then the demonstration of realities not seen, it's strong enough to produce results. So even in our lives, we can demonstrate that. We have that faith. So it's just a good reminder. When you say you're doing better, I'm glad to hear that, because I was worried what you were saying about it.
To encourage you.
Yeah. And I like verse 6. I always have. It's almost a play on words, but I don't think it's an accident. See, without faith it is impossible to please God well, for whoever approaches God must believe that he is, or footnote, or exists, and that he becomes the rewarder of those earnestly seeking him. The second half of that, he becomes the rewarder. And how we've had some clarifications and expanding on the meaning of Jehovah's name. But what do you remember as far as the definition of the name Jehovah, what it means? What do you recall?
It causes to become, and so he becomes whatever is necessary.
Okay, yes, so you've got the word become in there. Causes to become. And there it is. He becomes the rewarder. And that impressed me from the very beginning. The wording is almost the same as the earlier rendering on this. The first verse 1, there's a little adjustment. Realities that are not seen. You say not beheld, but this is pretty close. He becomes the rewarder. And it's the very meaning of his name. If they put it in the literal third person singular causative tense of the verb to be, it's the verb to then to become. He causes to become. It's the actual meaning.
Is that King James?
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? How does it read in King James? That verse 6.
Verse 6. But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him.
Yeah, it doesn't have the word become in there. And it's interesting. He becomes the rewarder.
By the way, I got the truth out of the King James Version of the Bible from my father's Christian Science Sunday School. We didn't have this yet.
I got the truth out of the American Standard.
Standard Version, there you go.
Those are two really good versions. Those are two good ones.
Yeah. Some of us predate modern history.
That's true.
Well, he got a couple of years on me. But now the New World Translation was being printed, being produced when I came in the truth, but we had it in pieces, so when we went in the ministry, you couldn't carry it. Well, we didn't have the sixth one yet, but we had the Greek scriptures and most of the Hebrew. But I used the American Standard. It was interesting with the appendix information in this new Bible. It's Appendix A4. The meaning of the name. Yeah, it's in Appendix A4. It's page 1735. It's interesting. See, what is the meaning of the name Jehovah? And this, in further researching this, because Jehovah keeps revealing things, we wonder, why didn't we see this before? This is pretty basic here, though. But it says the Hebrew, the name Jehovah comes from a verb that means to become. A number of scholars feel it reflects the causative form of the Hebrew verb. So the understanding of the New World Bible Translation Committee is he causes to become, and it's there in the box. Scholars hold varying views, so we cannot be dogmatic. The definition well fits Jehovah's role as the creator of all things and the fulfiller of his purpose. And it says not only did he create it, but he continues to cause his will and purpose to be realized. Now the bottom paragraph was a clarification, it's new. It says the meaning of the name Jehovah is not limited to the related verb found at Exodus 3:14, which reads, I will become what I choose to become, or I will prove to be what I will prove to be. In the strictest sense, those words do not fully define God's name, and rather reveal an aspect of his personality, showing that he becomes what is needed in each circumstance to fulfill his purpose. So while the name Jehovah may include this idea, it's not limited to what he himself chooses to become. And here was the point. It also includes what he causes to happen with regards to his creation and the accomplishment of his purpose. It's quite interesting. You see where we fit into that? He can use us. He uses people. He can use anything in his creation in the accomplishment of his purpose. That's quite a fascinating concept, to think about that. We make ourselves available and let him use us. He can use us. He used people down through history. You think in physical sense, like somebody like Samson, and like what he did at the end there, and Samson prayed, let me avenge the loss of one of my eyes, and he used him to take down that building, strengthen him. Says he eradicated more Philistines in death than he had in his life. And now some might say, well, that was kind of cruel, but they were cruel people. Talk about child abuse. They burned babies as part of their religious rites. Some people get critical about Israel cleaning them out of the land, but that's what was going on. And when Israel adopted their religion, they started burning their babies. I guess you know that. When it says that so-and-so, like the kings of Judah, had their sons pass through the fire, you know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't need to go any further with that. It's offensive.
Yeah.
Let's see, so. Anyway, that's just an example how he used Samson and many others. But I think this is very important. Because that's what I've been concerned about, what you expressed before, that you felt like you were losing your faith. So I'm glad to hear that you feel you're doing better, but keep doing better.
Yeah.
And see you grow strong. But these are just basic verses. But that's something that always impressed me, is this last phrase of Hebrews 11:6. He becomes the rewarder of those earnestly seeking him. Now the King James doesn't use the word becomes there, but many do. The New World uses that. And it's interesting how that reflects the meaning of his name. So here it is.
From Trini Lopez. Convince God's